Hello and welcome back to the Couple of Pints podcast. This week's episode is all about Hawaii. As always, if you could subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify and follow us on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter, we'd really appreciate your support. Let's get into the episode and have a couple of pints. Hello and welcome back. I'm joined by George. George,
Nice to
see you again. Let's have a couple of pints. Still in America. That's a bit of a nightmare. Cheers, mate. Well, I don't know what's going on here, but PBR. This is my my newfound cheap lager that I'm enjoying in a time during whilst we're in the States.
I've got myself Mike's Hard Lemonade. One of my favourite drinks that I've discovered whilst being over. Actually, it was one of the first things we bought in Hawaii, so it was one of the first things over here that we had. And just like it's like a seltzer, but like it doesn't taste like the sparkling water kind of seltzer. It's like tastes like lemonade, but it's like 8%, 5%, something like that. So we take it. It's nice. I like it.
Fair play. Well, I'll just stick to the sort of blue collar beers or whatever they're called.
Feel free.
Hawaii then. So let's get into it straight away.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Australia last week, and I think the last episode that people would have seen us was talking about Australia and what a time that was. But we did the long flight from Melbourne over to Honolulu on your birthday.
Yes, so actually ended up being quite a crazy story, to be fair. In fact, that my birthday was on the Sunday. We were in Melbourne in Australia on the Saturday night. So Saturday night, clock hits 12, it turns into my birthday, we're out watching the football, Forest are playing, obviously they lost, so but we'll leave that. But yeah, the football's on, watched the football, went out, had beers and stuff and had a good night, proper Saturday night out.
Yeah.
Good time. Went to bed, woke up sometime late morning, got to check out by 11, sometime around that kind of time. And then went out, had breakfast, and now it's on the day of my birthday. We're in my birthday now, had a nice breakfast, checked out, and then headed to the airport.
Yep.
Because we had a flight at 4 p.m. Australian time.
4 p.m. Australian time, which I think in Hawaiian time was still the day before.
Yeah, would have been. So 4 p.m. we fly, 9-hour flight?
10 hours,
10 hours
flight. Yeah.
from Melbourne all the way over straight to Hawaii. And obviously that trip takes us from I think we were 9 hours in front of the UK in Australia, and then we landed in.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we went across the international date line, and we're in 9 hours behind the UK now in Hawaii. So a massive time zone difference. But what that meant was we left at 4 p.m. in Australia, 10-hour flight. You think, birthday's over, there it is. Land in Hawaii after a full day of my birthday, and it's now 6 a.m. on the Sunday again. So we restart my whole birthday again, we gotta go again. So basically I had just over 40 hours worth of birthday, so
worst 40 hours of my life, but no, it was good, and it was certainly interesting, the fact, like you say, you sort of go from one night out in Melbourne to another night out in Hawaii, and it's still the same day. I
feel the nicest part about it, obviously being a birthday thing, like it's nice going away on your birthday, like the night before, like going out the night before on your birthday, going out celebrating, clock hitting 12, it's your birthday, having a good night. Saturday night, perfect. But then you wake up on the Sunday, you're hungover, you've got a hangover then. You're not like, you don't want to do loads of stuff on that day, it's not like a big day anymore. So kind of you feel like, I wasted my birthday a bit. But we got to have that hangover day and then just have a whole nother day in Hawaii on my birthday for doing all the actual stuff, like going out, having food and that kind of thing, which I'm sure we'll touch on in our Hawaii story. So.
Yeah, so I think we, where did we go? We went to the Hard Rock Cafe, I think was where we went for some food. And you got yourself a little birthday Sunday.
Luckily, by the time, like, we went pretty late in the day, been out all day, went to the pool and the beach and that kind of stuff. And we ended up eating pretty late on that night. Luckily, it wasn't that busy in there. So by the time they're all doing their singing and dancing or whatever, there weren't too many people around.
I was a bit gutted, to be fair, because I remember saying to the waitress, I was like, this is his birthday, any chance? And she was like, her eyes lit up, and it was busy enough at that point everyone seemed to just leave as soon as I was genuinely gutted, because that would have been perfect to have seen your face when they come out with the sparklers and everything else.
It was over.
But no, on your birthday, like you say, we sort of had beers on the beach as we sort of walked back towards like where the food was and whatever. I remember walking past the band, the local band on the beach, the hula band, and they were teaching people how to hula.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a couple of people or just a busker or anything like this. They got a stage on the beach.
Yeah, yeah.
So we moved over, they got all the lights on, stage, music, everything like that. And there's probably, I don't know, how many people would you say were there? Between 50 and 100, I'd say?
About 100 people, yeah. About 100.
All like, as you say, learning how to hula. So they were doing the song, singing the Hawaiian kind of, the music that you'd expect, that kind of like hula music. And then teaching people how to do a hula dance. So yeah, we did a little bit of that.
It was like a couple of families, wasn't it? The people that were like doing it.
Yes,
you had like two families, and it was like sort of a few of them on guitar, a few of them dancing. And for me, like that moment, and I think I said it to you then, and I'll say it now. That moment was when I was like, wow, Hawaii is like what you see and what you think it's going to be. It was pretty cool. Like all that sort of the hula stuff, and I think there are videos that do exist of you doing hula dancing.
Yeah, we got a couple of those.
So
both of us. Yeah, don't forget the other ones as well.
I don't think I was getting into it as much as you were, but fair play. But no, so Hawaii for me, like requisites and my sort of mindset going there was like, it's going to be a chilled out place. It's going to be an expensive place, but scenery wise, you're not going to see many places like this in the world. And that is pretty much how it felt. I mean,
it was like island paradise kind of vibe, wasn't it? It was very.
And it was expensive, but like it wasn't
crazy.
extreme. No, I mean, like, you're probably not paying more for a beer there than you are
in Australia.
In Australia, definitely not.
Yeah.
Or New York, you know what I mean?
It was like very US city kind of price. It wasn't crazy.
And it was like I say, it was good. It was chilled out, and in terms of like obviously having a beer in a pool, like an infinity pool.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
On the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, looking out to the sea.
Yeah, it's moments like that when you're like, this trip's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like we've had some pretty cool moments, and that's a standout for me. That was one where watching sort of the sunset, while stood there with a couple of beers. You're just like, this don't really get much better. But no, so we did have a look at the beaches as well. You can't go to Hawaii and not see the beach.
Yes.
And if you remember, one of the days we saw like what must have been a compound of about 40 or 50 proper trucks, which was quite surprising because you wouldn't expect to see that many trucks in Hawaii. And then I can't remember what I noticed, but one said Comcast. I'm certain it said Comcast, which is like NBC's like sort of broadcast trucks. And I was saying to yours, like, something's going on here. They're filming something. Yeah. And we walked past the sign, and I remember the sign saying Big Koala Pictures.
Yes, it was Big Koala Pictures.
And they were filming Bad Dog. And I was like, I said to you, I was like, Bad Dog?
Yeah, well,
I don't ring any bells at all. And as soon as you do a bit of like research behind it, it was actually Lilo and Stitch.
Yes, so yeah, we literally walked past the scene where they were filming the Lilo and Stitch live animation, because obviously they're not filming there's no cartoon characters.
The Stitch weren't there, was he?
Yeah, but they were on the beach filming scenes for the next Lilo and Stitch movie, which is quite cool. We walked past a few times, see if we could get in the background at some point.
Yeah, we were trying our best. So if you do see us next year for that brilliant action release, then let us know.
Yeah, look out for us.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we were. But what I liked about that was the fact you had the security on the beach, and I mean, being a security guard for film shoots, I imagine is pretty difficult at the best of times. Add into it the standing on a beach.
Like, a very public beach, a very famous beach.
And there were a couple of times, so like they were at various points, and it was almost like whenever people crossed their offside line, they were straight in, but they weren't straight in. They were sort of, it was like walking. I mean, he's walking on sand. It's like walking in treacle, and like people were just sort of going to have a mooch, sort of like almost getting to the point where the shoot was, to be told, "Oh, hang on, you can't do this. You can't do this." But for me, like, it was just pretty mad. I mean, we must have been stood there for the best part of 40 minutes, and I don't think that they did more than maybe 2 minutes of shooting.
No,
in that time there was so much setup goes into it.
Just going over, and just redoing it and stuff as well.
Yeah, and I'm no like sort of great worshipper of films or anything. Like, I don't watch that many movies, but it makes you appreciate how much goes into it.
Yeah, because they were thinking that's probably like a 10-second, 5-second clip
Yeah,
of a movie,
literally,
and they would literally spend hours just over and over and setting everything up and getting everything ready. Yeah, it was crazy the amount of work that goes in behind it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I say, I think that stood out for me in terms of being on that beach. Another thing that stood out for me on that beach was when we went, when you went surfing.
Yes, on
At,
a bit of like sunset surfing.
Sunset
on
surfing.
Kiki Beach.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a surfer. I went paddleboarding a couple of years ago, and since then I don't want to touch anything that looks like a paddleboard or a surfboard ever again.
Yeah.
So no, I was just like, I was content with sitting on a beach, just with my own thoughts, listening to music. It was like, it was immense.
Yeah.
Sun going down. It was like a vibe and a half.
Yeah. For me, it was more like, I'm not a very good surfer. I've done it a few times. I've done it in Bali, done it in Cornwall and stuff like that. So
You
I've
didn't
been
need to
surfing
clarify
before.
that bit. I could tell.
But yeah, I've been surfing quite a few times. I'm okay. Like, I can stand up, not for very long, but occasionally can stand up. I'm no pro surfer, but for me, it was just like, I'm in Hawaii. I've got to do it just like a little bit to say. Like,
Where do you reckon's more famous for surfing though? Because we went to Bondi Beach in Australia.
I feel.
And then we went to Hawaii.
I feel from films. I don't know.
I feel like I saw more people surfing at Bondi than I did in Hawaii.
Probably more people, yes, but like the waves in Bondi were crazy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't find me doing it there. Like, they were like, especially the Surfers Paradise was mental.
The difference is as well that like Bondi was 18 degrees Celsius and getting cooler.
Yeah.
Hawaii
it
was
a bit
like
cold
27 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was nice
like,
evening.
I want to do a little bit of surfing just to say I've done it. I've surfed in Hawaii, and it was pretty. The sun was going down. People were out there chilling. It was a cool experience.
It was good. I think so. One thing that always, whenever people have been to Hawaii and they tell me about Hawaii, and part of the sort of thinking of the things we did and why we went to the main island, which is, I'm going to forget the name of it. So Honolulu's on.
It begins with, like, I know how to like.
Oahu.
Yes, Oahu. Yes.
Oahu.
Yeah.
Jeez. Thank God we baited ourselves out there. If you are from Hawaii, apologies. If it's not Oahu, well, we tried. But everyone that goes to Oahu always tells me about Pearl Harbor.
Okay. Yeah.
And like, I think we sort of said to each other, like, well, we need to go and see it because like we're here.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise just like how much planning went into it from the Japanese side, and like how incredible that area is, because it was like, I mean, it's just it's the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, this isn't a history podcast necessarily, but like for such a significant moment, it's like an incredible experience just to see it, because it's like all them boats were just next to each other in the harbour. And like all absolutely blitzed.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, again, like, you're not a history buff kind of thing. Didn't really know too much about it. Like, I've not watched the film or looked into much about it in history or anything like that. But like, after going and we went around the museum and saw everything, it was like, it was crazy to think back of like what it was probably been like, either being there or like in any of the kind of action, whether you're on the island or if you're in the skies or anything like that, or on the boats or anything like that. Like, it was crazy.
I think the thing that struck me the most was the Japanese went off radar for like 2 days and just completely hid themselves from the Americans, which was incredible. Like, I mean, even like, you know, it was only 70, 80 years ago. It weren't that long ago that they did it. But then the other thing was that Hawaii during the war was like normal. Yeah. Like, they were just cracking on with life because it's middle of the Pacific and
they're not involved.
You read about it, and like in the museum, you read about it how like everyone was going out, they're all sort of drinking and enjoying themselves, gaming and whatever. Yeah. And then the next day, the whole world falls apart.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that was genuinely like, if anyone is ever going to Hawaii, I would totally recommend going to the Pearl Harbor Museum for that reason, because it was like, you really get a perspective on the place.
Well, it's free as well, so how can you not like it? It's one of them things you've got to do.
But no, so we went from the museum at Pearl Harbor and the area of Pearl Harbor, and we went to a place that you wanted to visit prior to going to Hawaii.
Yeah, so we wanted to head up towards like North Shore. I know there's lots of things on it, like North Shore on the north side of the island. Obviously, we were staying in Waikiki. We didn't have a car or anything, so we weren't planning to go much up much or whatever. So we were like, we'll head up to the North Shore. There's a few things I wanted to do there that I'd seen, like food places and beaches and stuff like that. So we wanted to do that. And I knew on the way was the Dole Plantation, which is very famous in terms of, like, if you look at your fruit and veg or whatever, a lot of it you'll see the Dole sticker. It's got like a little sun kind of thing on it. You'll recognize it if you see it. And always on like bananas or like pineapples and stuff are one of the famous ones. But this is actually where it started. And obviously Dole happened to be one of my clients when I was in audit as well. So I was like, well, I've heard about it, I've seen it, like it would be cool to go and see. This is where it started. So went to go see a few, well, I say a few, the massive kind of pineapple farm, wasn't it? So went to go stop off there on the way. Yes,
so we got there, walked in, and I mean, I think what struck me the most was it is literally just a plantation. Like they haven't made it that much else. I mean, there's like there's a little train. There's a little train that goes around.
I was expecting just a farm, that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
It would turn into like a full tourist attraction.
I mean, I think if you've got like kids and whatever, it's fantastic.
The massive, the gift shop was absolutely huge, like crazy.
Yeah, it
gift
was.
Shop,
To be
like,
fair,
huge.
we saw pineapples.
You could get pineapple flavored things and whatever, but you could also, like, they were just selling like
ukuleles,
cushions and just sort of random stuff, caps, t-shirts, everything. And then obviously it's got it was a maze, but there was some kind of claim of how big the maze was.
I think it's the world's largest maze.
Something like that. Yes, like it was like a massive maze, the train thing, and then there was one more thing you could do. There was a ticket for 3 things. We didn't do it. We just walked around, had a look at the plantation or whatever. It wasn't like a big day out attraction kind of thing, but to go and see it was
I mean it's pretty cool, the fact that plantation literally sends through all around the world. I did like that sort of, like, it's pretty like mental. But you did take me to what was effectively just a maze.
It was on our way up though, so we were all right. It wasn't well out of our way. So
I mean, to be fair, the other thing that I learned from the Dole Plantation, and I know that you learnt it as well, was that pineapples don't grow on trees.
Yes, that was the thing. Like, I always thought, I thought they
were in the ground.
Yeah, I always thought they were. I've never seen them on trees, yes, but I've never seen them in the ground or I always just thought one of the things they grow on trees. Apparently, not. To see them in the ground, I was like, I was quite surprised.
And it's like a pineapple bush, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like red pineapples.
Yeah, I put a little thing on my story just to check it wasn't just me, and there was certainly got a lot of votes for people that also thought they grew from the ground. So I wasn't on my own there, but.
Yeah, clearly you've not watched enough SpongeBob SquarePants.
No, yeah. Well, I don't know if they live under the water either, so.
That's what they do with the bad ones, apparently, in Hawaii. Sling it in the sea. But yeah, so we did the Dole Plantation, and then as we left the Dole Plantation, knowing there was a bus at a certain time, but no proper like bus shelter.
Yeah, it was
we've left there, and what can only be described as the worst storm I've probably seen in months.
Yeah, I was going to say at the start of the trip.
Since then we've seen bigger storms, but that was pretty horrific, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we were stood in the rain.
No idea when the bus was arriving.
And then I think you had a live tracker for the bus, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it was just Google Maps. So they show like where they meant to show where it's coming, but.
And then we're having to guess when to press the button
to cross
the road to get onto the right side of the road where there was no
bus shelter.
No shelter at all. Although when we did cross the road, there was like a Japanese couple who had a couple of umbrellas, and that was just like allowing us to stand underneath it. It didn't do much, but it was nice. It was a nice gesture.
And then from there continued up to North Shore for the few things up there.
Yes.
A bit of food. Went to see the shrimp truck first. Very famous shrimp truck. Well, famous on TikTok kind of thing. It was one of them things I saw on TikTok.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that the last 6 months.
And it was very good, to be fair. Went from the shrimp truck up to the
shaved ice.
Yeah, the shaved ice place. But again, this was actually a very famous in terms of in Hawaii, Oahu. Very famous.
Recommended by Barack Obama, no less. Right?
Bin himself. So there we go.
Because he's from Hawaii, which again, that was something I didn't know until we were in Hawaii.
Yeah. So we went over there, had some shaved ice, which was pretty cool.
Shaved ice. So if anyone doesn't know what shaved ice is, it's basically where you go rooting around your freezer at home, and if you ever get like that gloss of ice that just stays around the side of your freezer, it's like they've scraped all that up, put it in a bowl, and then squirted a load of like icing sugar, sort of like coloured syrup. Yeah, it's it was pretty mad. I mean, to be honest, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
But
Yeah.
I didn't finish it because
No, I was
it was
going to
like
say you didn't need the big ones.
No.
It's just so sweet, the syrup.
Yeah.
It's got no. It's just ice and
it's
syrup.
just sugar.
There's no,
It's just pure
there's
sugar.
no like nutritional value in it. It's
No.
literally just sugar. So you're like eating it. You're like, oh, that's good. But then it's like, yeah, a little
We were
bit too
bouncing
much
off the
after-
walls
yeah,
in about
it's
20
a little
minutes.
bit too much.
So we went from there again on the bus, and we went to the Turtle Beach.
Yes.
In the hope that we might see a sea turtle. And I think I said to you,
Yeah, no
but we didn't
chance.
shake on it. I said to you, I will bet you any money that you want that it was not a turtle.
Because normally,
it was
obviously,
raining.
they come to the beach
Yeah.
to bathe in the sun and get the
Yeah.
heat and that kind of thing. And yeah, it was pouring down with rain, and we were like, absolutely no chance. I was like, well, we're already up here. We may as well go through, have a look. And yeah, as luck would have it, there was one massive one just chilling on the beach.
One turtle that clearly didn't get the memo on the weather,
Yeah.
and he was just sat there in the rain. But it's really good. So the setup there is they've got that sort of whenever a turtle lands on the beach, they cone it off,
Yes,
and
yeah,
they
you
put
can't
volunteers
get too close,
stood
yeah.
around. And
Yeah.
we were chatting to a volunteer who was actually like in IT for the US military.
Yeah, something like they were. Yeah.
But she was talking about how she wants to be sort of a marine biologist and whatever, and it was like it was really cool because it was actually people that are genuinely passionate about
Yeah,
these
lots of information
like,
about
animals, and we learned so much
Yeah, we did,
stuff
so
out
much,
of just having a chat about it. It was like we learned that they can swim 450 miles. I mean, it's like they
That's
literally have a
crazy,
better
yeah.
range than my car.
Yeah.
So like it's mental, but they're just like mad creatures. Like they're just I don't know.
I was just
I've
blown
never
away
seen
by
anything
how
like
big
it.
that was. Like, I've
It was bigger than this table.
Again,
It was
swam
literally
with
bigger than this table.
turtles and stuff before, and how cool is that? Yeah, and everything. But this one was absolutely huge. But yeah, it was definitely a cool experience to see them on the beach.
Yeah, and from there we got the we tried to get the bus.
There we go. Yeah, once again, yeah, carried on our journey of We were like, right, okay, we finished
Yeah.
our day now. We'll get the bus back.
Literally an hour and 20 minutes away from where we started in Honolulu
so it's a
as
lot,
well.
Yeah, the other side of the island. So we were like, we'll get the bus back, no problem. And we got on the bus, and then the bus took us a bit, and then was like, right, this is it, wasn't it? Or was it starting going the wrong way? I just remember we had to get off the bus to then get another bus.
I think it took us about 10 minutes up the road to like where the shaved ice place
Yeah.
was, and then that bus was like, no, I only do this part.
Yeah. So we're like, right,
There's
we need to
another
get
one in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no like schedule written down anywhere. Google Maps was useless. We tried to use Uber and Lyft to see can we
no
get a
chance,
taxi.
no.
They weren't having it. We were literally like, I mean, I turned to you, I was like, we are going to have to start hitchhiking
we're
soon.
gonna
Like,
be
it's
stuck,
getting
yeah,
dark
yeah.
and this ain't right. But eventually we've we've got on a bus, and the bus driver actually really nice. And she was like, yeah, get on. I'll let you know when to get off, whatever. And then what can only be described as the dregs of Honolulu sort of got on that bus. There was a woman who asked me to look up the price of a bottle of whiskey.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
She had it written down in a little book.
Yeah.
She said, how much is that? I was like, I don't know. Do I look like a distiller?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had that, and then you had another guy who was like just asleep behind me. It was quite a sort of magical mystery ride, that bus. Got back to Honolulu, straight into a bar, wearing the lays, and listening to
music.
Yeah, listening to some really good musicians and playing darts. So yeah, I really enjoyed Hawaii. It was a good experience for me, and I would absolutely go back. No two ways about it.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be a place that, I mean, the thing is, because it's so far away from Britain and your time zone's so different, it really is like you're on your own in terms of everything. Your time zone, you're not talking to people at home, so like you've actually got the chance to engross yourself in the surroundings.
Yeah. But for us, it was kind of strange, different to our expectations in the fact that it was so Americanized. Like, we've been to America so many times. Yeah. Well, I say Americanized. Obviously, yes, it's in America. But what we expected was like Paradise Island, middle of nowhere. It's nowhere near the States, really.
Yeah.
But we've been to the States loads. We love the States. And when we were there, we were like, oh God, we are like, it feels like we are actually back in the States.
Feels like in America, yeah. And,
so that was...
And that was nice. So I said to you, I was like, it's nice that it's like this. But, I mean, the other thing was the fact that the McDonald's there, and it's cliche to talk about McDonald's going to Hawaii, what are you playing at? But they weren't standard buildings. They were like an old
Oh,
church
yeah, it
that had
was,
been
yeah,
converted
yeah.
and left as it was, and just like a little M. There was
Yeah.
the one we went to, which was the other side of the island,
Yeah, but
and it didn't even
North Shore.
it didn't have the McDonald's
No.
branding.
No,
It
yeah,
just said it
it's-
had like a 1950 sign that saying
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the tradition of it all, and like I say, I'd go back. I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favourite places I've been to on this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And
100%.
anything from you? Would you go back?
100%, yeah, go back, Clacker. It was as we said, paradise kind of island. The food was good. Like we went to some really good food places. Obviously, we went out loads of bars. There's loads of good bars there, and just to chill on the beach and not do anything. As you said, chilling in the pool, the infinity pool, looking out the ocean, the sunsets. Yeah, it was a
good, wasn't it?
experience.
It was good. So that's been Hawaii. As always, thanks for listening to our podcast here on the Couple of Pints podcast. If you could subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, we'd really appreciate your support. And as always, if you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter, we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
Perfect. Thank you very much.